And here we are with bags C and CC of the RC10 Classic reissue kit, and we have built the transmission. And what you're seeing right here are the assembly steps. We're doing all 6 of the steps that you see here, and these steps, and this is the final step. So what I've got here, this is the actual transmission that you end up with. So this is actually the first time I've actually held one of these in my hands. My first proper RC kit, after the Grasshopper of course, which most people had, was the RC10 Worlds, which had the stealth transmission, which I think was 3 or 4 gears. This has 6 gears inside this sucker, if you can believe that, and then of course the one on the outside. Look how thick that is compared to today's transmissions. So obviously it's all built and put together, so what I'll do is just very quickly run through the steps here, any danger points or anything like that. So we'll just set that to the side for the moment. We start off with inserting a roll pin here. I always hated those thread lock, again, not supplied, just but of course by the time you reach this step you hopefully will have a supply if you don't already. This here is an interesting bit here. There's a curved, they call it a bowed E-clip, and basically it's a curved E-clip and it's meant to bend to the outside, and they give you a nice little diagram there. It's pretty handy. This step right here, it's a little C-clip where that holds in the bearing or bushing. This is the actual bushing that you're meant to put in, the original thing. And this is a bearing of the same size, so a little bit less rotating weight, and obviously it's a bearing, so it's handy. So anyway, you use the C-clip. I was able to put that in. You don't need a special pair of pliers. Obviously you do that twice. Just very carefully put your thumb over it and use a flathead screwdriver carefully to push that in. Again, replacing the bearings here for the bushings, and then so here you've got your first 2 gears, and then you've got your next 2 gears, so now you're at 4 gears, and then here's your other gears number 5 and 6. This is the actual thrust bearing assembly, which is interesting. Again, never seen this in the flesh, so it's quite interesting to see how that all goes. Now, one thing to keep in mind here for this step 5 is this transmission build supplement is very important, because you're meant to use the silicone lube on the inside of this small bearing that you put there. So just keep that in mind. It's the same lube that you use on the actual spur gear. And again, something new to me, putting the actual of course, you know, pan cars use this all the time, they still do, but putting this on an off-road vehicle, interesting. And then you're putting the other side of the slipper clutch assembly on, or actually not slipper clutch, just the, well, I suppose it's slipper clutch. Oh, sorry about that. And then so you end up with that, and then the further step here is you're meant to compress the spring and then back it out. Here it just says lock nut should be flush with shaft to start, and then you're mounting it on the motor plate. Those funky felt or wool, same thing, little washers or seals that go right inside there, and then the little things that hold them in place. And they still use those, I think, on the stealth transmission, if I remember right. And then finally you're just attaching the 4 screws, again with thread lock, to the actual motor plate there. And there you go. There's your 6-gear RC10 World Championship winning transmission. Quite interesting. And you can see how you got just a bit of slip there if you hold one of the out drives. So, oh yeah, one of the other things to mention was on this step here, step 8, they actually recommend cutting a slot and I did that just with a knife. You can use a Dremel if you really want. So anyway, that's it. And now we are on to the rear bulkhead and rear shock tower mount.